Hello everybody, it's Kerbal back with another Kerbal Space Program video. So, in this video, what I did today was I built my first one-launch space station. So, if you haven't been playing Kerbal Space Program for a while, one-launch space stations are the most efficient way of building a space station. I originally wanted it to be an artificial gravity space station, but I couldn't figure out how to get like the symmetry to work for like the wheels. I know there's a way to do it, so if anyone knows how to do it in the comments below, make sure to let me know. So I decided to, once I couldn't figure out how to do it, I decided to scrap that idea and just build a normal space station. So I had to add a lab and like some stuff. I just basically had to add a bunch of stuff, but my day has been going pretty good, and if you are new here, make sure to subscribe for the channel for more Kerbal Space Program videos. But I added a bunch of solar panels and RCS thrusters so we could like stabilize the ship. And I started off with the cupola module because I felt like it'd be the best to add. And I was also gonna add the 6-way docking port, but that wouldn't work. And so I just decided to have clampotron docking ports on the sides for some certain parts, like for a crew cabin or something. So I decided to I was going to originally add a different crew cabin, but I decided to add the one I put up here. And there's a bunch of clampotron docking ports, which are really cool, and I like them. And I still was gonna do the rotor thing, but I decided once again not to do it because it would have been too small to work. So then I decided to just add an antenna, a thermometer. I added two thermometers because I didn't know that it was 2 thermometers. I thought it was 1, but then I added like I'm gonna add like some radiators, some crew cabins so I could put the radiators on. The large ones, they would have been too big for me to actually put on, so I had to settle for smaller ones. Maybe if I revise this in the near future, I'll think of adding bigger ones. So I added more solar panels, but the ones I added I didn't like, but the smaller ones I liked, so I decided to keep those. And I decided to add small radiator panels, or thermal control panels as they're correctively called. But I added some mystery goo and stuff, and I got rid of the solar panels and I just put the small thermal control things on there, and I added different solar panels this time. These go in like an X sort of pattern, I guess you could say. And I had to add the protective shell first after I added the stack separator. So I did the protective shell, then the stack separator. And sorry if it looks kind of derpy. This is the best I could do. But I was actually kind of nervous if this would work or not. So I made sure I added like struts, and I made sure the rocket part could actually launch. But on the end, I did add some clampotron docking ports. So in the near future, we could dock like a shuttle to it for like an upcoming mini movie, which I'm making tomorrow. Be sure to look out for that. But I added a 5mm protective shell. It looks kind of weird, I know. But I made it down to 2 sides. I made the ejection force 1,000. And then I began building the main rocket part. Now, for some reason, when I built the rocket, I couldn't get the fuel to work. But I'm adding different stages, so that way I'll have more thrust and not just one big stage. But this actually turned out to be a one-launch ssto space station, which was actually pretty rare in my opinion. I've never seen people do this on like YouTube videos for Kerbal Space Program, like Matt Lone. By the way, if Matt Lone sees this, give me credit if you decide to do this. But yeah, I added some fuel onto the sides, and I decided to, after I put the fuel I needed on, I put on different fuel tanks because for some reason, like I said, I couldn't find the fuel I used. Like, I searched it up and everything. Like, it would not show up. So I had to settle for different ones. So, yeah, that's why you see me putting different ones on that don't match the theme. But, yeah, I had to also look for some sort of cone and, like, an adapter for the cone. So I looked on, like, adapters and stuff to find one that would fit with the thing. And I was going to settle for one of them, but I decided to settle for a different one. I cannot talk today. Sorry about that, guys. And I'm just looking for a different one. But I did end up using, like, one of the MK3 ones, and then I just put some cones on them. It did make it look cool, but then I added some struts because I realized I made a mistake in my last KSP video, the one where I built the rocket completely out of random parts. I had to have struts, so I also did that for the space stations. There's just 2 struts, but then after I added the engines, I had to add launch stability so it'd be stabilized by the time I'd launch it. And I had to also reorganize the stuff so it'd go according to plan. So I wanted the engines to ignite first, then I wanted the stabilizers to detach, then I wanted the auxiliary boosters to detach, or the entire stage to detach, then go into the next stage. Then I deploy the protective shield manually, and then after I did that, we'd be all fine and dandy in an orbit. Now just a spoiler alert, the orbit, it won't go into a perfect orbit, but I did use some mods. I used the KNES mod, KNES mod. This was the exact mod I used for the Hermes video I did, which I will leave a link to in the description. And I didn't get a chance to upload it on Kerbal X, but the first try it wouldn't launch, so I had to upgrade it. I had to, like, add different fuel and, like, different engines. I had to add more fuel and different engines. Or I had to add different engines for more thrust, like more vertical thrust. And if you didn't know, this is a useful tip when trying to get into a steady orbit. When you get to around 10,000 meters or so in the air, or kilometers, whichever one it is, tip your rocket 45 degrees to the right. But as you see, Jebediah Kerman is the only Kerbonaut here, so he is special. But in the near future, like I said, I'm gonna add I'm gonna launch some sort of space shuttle, or like some sort of shuttle for like a lunar mission, because I want to build like some sort of lunar shuttle, or some sort of shuttle that has lunar capabilities, and that will be an interesting video to do. But as you can see, we're getting into orbit. I had to make sure like the apparatus was good, which it didn't turn out to be a perfect spherical orbit, but then I just canceled both maneuvers because But yeah, I just did it on my own. It turned out to be an alright orbit, but as you can see, we detached the first stage. I had to go down, but I also removed the protective shield, made sure the lights worked. I decided not to, like I said, I also decided not to do some sort of action groups. But I did go down so we could get into some sort of orbit and not leave Kerbin's orbit. Like I said, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect spherical station. But I hope you can forgive me for that. But the orbit did turn out to be pretty good, so I'm just detaching. And I was actually really stoked when I realized I did this. Like, I was extremely happy. But I'm deploying all the radiators and the solar panels so we can get all the heat removed and like the electricity launched. And for some reason I keep on clicking control escape, which does bring me back to my desktop. But yeah, we have everything good now. It's all good. We're in a different orbit, and here's the final product. It actually turned out to be better than I thought for my first try. But yeah, Jebediah's just doing a little spacewalk, I did also figure out how to do RCS and stuff. He's going to a different module, which you could just move automatically, but I figured out that the reason why the ship was moving was because Jebediah wasn't in control, so I had to get him back into the cupola, which is the little window module. So maybe, but yeah, so here's the finished product. Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one tomorrow. Goodbye. お前はもう死んでいる。